I'll declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. and would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation and their elders past and present. And I would like to extend my respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people watching our meeting tonight. And just a note that we would like to welcome everybody, including those viewing online, as our council meeting is live streamed. Recordings of council meetings mustn't be copied or republished without city permission, and it will remain as a permanent record for everyone to go back to if they wish to review the meeting. And with that, let's move on to the agenda. We've got record of attendance, apologies and leave of absence. So thank you everyone for attending tonight. We have got a full suite of councillors, apart from Councillor Busby, who has a previously granted leave of absence. And we have our executive directors and acting executive directors along with us tonight. So thank you for coming along, and of course our CEO. That takes us through to advice of response to previous public questions taken on notice. And we've got one there printed in the agenda. Public question time. It doesn't appear that we've got any public with us, unless some are hiding up the back there. Anybody? No? Thank you. We'll move past public question time and move on to applications for leave of absence. We do have one application for a leave of absence for Councillor Kamdar, who is applying for a leave of absence from the 11th of December 2024 until the 21st of January 2025. Could I ask that somebody move that? Thank you. Councillor Peter has moved. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you. No one's opposed. That's carried. Petitions. Are there any petitions for presentation tonight? If not, we'll move on. Confirmation of minutes. Could I have someone confirm that the minutes of the meeting, which is attached to this agenda, represent a true and correct record of our previous meeting? Councillor Joy, thank you very much. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Announcements by the person presiding without discussion. That's my notes here. Councillors, you have those on your desk or by email. I will just note that there's been a lot of activity in our region with the Community Cabinet coming to town, and the meeting was held at Serpentine Jarrahdale Shire. Councillor John Keogh, Deputy Mayor, was able to attend that Community Cabinet meeting with myself, and we did have the opportunity to informally chat to various ministers. Thank you. Thank you, CEO. I chose to speak to the Minister for Housing and et cetera, John Kerry, and also various other ministers. So, and I believe that Councillor Keogh also took the opportunity to raise advocacy items with ministers present, which was a really great opportunity for us. And we also had the Highland Gathering at a new venue. Most of you, many of you attended and were witness to a truly fantastic event. However, getting onto the island or into the parking facilities was a little bit difficult to start with, but then the event proceeded with, very smoothly, and it was a beautiful space to hold the event in. There were just some issues with parking. So great event, and thank you very much to our events team for pulling that together in what it was in the run-up. We had a lot of rain and it was looking like it was going to be a touch and go, but the events staff and everyone involved were very accommodating and went out of their way to put on a really wonderful event, so please pass on my thanks. And now we will move to 9. Questions by members of which due notice have been given without discussion. We don't have any, I believe. Reports at number 10. So we've got the Technical Services Committee meeting and we've got the Deputy Chair. Are you prepared to move the receipt of the Technical Services meeting held on the 7th of October?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I would like to move the minutes of Tech Services Committee meeting held on Monday, 7th of October 2025, subject to any corrections, which I don't have any.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone opposed? If there's no one opposed, thank you. That's carried. If we move into the agenda, start on page 8 with 1.1. Tender 2223, provision of a bore and pump maintenance services. Sorry, provision of bore and pump maintenance services. And we have the recommendation coming on page 11. Next item, 2.1, Canopy Cover Working Group, infill tube stock planting at reserves, with the recommendation coming on page 14. Councillor Willinger.
I'd like to move the recommendation as it stands, please.
Thank you. Councillor Willinger has moved. Is there anyone opposed?
Thanks.
Councillor Keogh.
Mayor, I would like to oppose that motion.
Do we have a seconder for the motion? Thank you. Councillor Stoneham. Councillor Willinger, would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, please. So firstly, the Canopy Cover Working Group raised this item to increase some canopy. Obviously, it was meant to be a quick win in the reserves, but timing and planning being how they are, the officers have advised that they could incorporate the funding into their current program, but the precise concept would have to await more planning. The funds that we're suggesting was the change from the rolly pools, and so we were hoping that that could be used for the next coming winter from the Future Reserve Fund, which has quite a lot of money in it, and so this is not not all of it, obviously. There'll be still plenty left for the other future projects. The reason why we think this is important to do the planting as soon as possible, extra planting, is because the temperatures have been very hot in the summer, and it's been known that this, the trees can help reduce the temperature. But to do that, we need to have enough enough canopy, as in a higher percent and proportion. And in our city, we have about 12% canopy cover, and so we have a little bit more work to do. If we were to try and get to 30%, we actually, at our current rate of planting, would actually take several hundred years, and so we probably need to increase our planting rate per annum. The City of Canning does 5,000 street trees a year and 60,000 tube stock. And so although we may not be able to afford that, it might be important for us to increase how much we do. The Bureau of Meteorology, of course, on the weekend said we're in for the hottest summer on record, when we thought we had the hottest summer on record last year. And so I would like support for this extra funding to start planting a bit more as soon as we can, please.
Thank you, Councillor Willinger. Councillor Stoneham, would you like to speak?
Well, I kind of agree with, well, I do agree with Councillor Willinger for her reasons for wanting to release these funds to some tree planting. Originally, the 91,000 was for the Rolly Pools project, which is obviously an environmental effort on the part of the city. The money has only recently gone into the Future Funds project funds, so to pull it out now is hardly here nor there. It was in there last month, it's not in there this month. I don't think it's vital to any of the other future projects that are planned and that fund money is in progress for. We are coming into the hottest summer once again on record, and as somebody who's lived in the Middle East, Kuwait precisely, the hottest place on earth, I can tell you now, living in 45 to 50 degrees heat is no fun. It requires shade. If you don't have shade, as you don't have in Kuwait, it's a desert. You live in your house with your air conditioning on, and you get up in the morning, and if you want to go to work, you walk outside, you turn your car on, and then you go back inside for half an hour, so your car is cool enough to get into so you can go to work, which is fine because fuel in Kuwait is 40 cents a litre. That is not the case here. People will be confined to their houses with aircon on, the shutters down, and if that's living, then I think we need to really, really look at that. Planting a few extra trees. The staff have said that they can absorb that 91,000 and enhance the projects they already have. I think in the general scheme of things, it's not a huge amount of money, but it does send an indication to our ratepayers and our residents that we are serious about protecting their environment and improving their standard of living and health.
Thank you, Councillor Stoneham. Councillor Keogh, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to start off by first stating I'm not someone who is opposed to trees at all. I very much, of course, love and care for them and would like to see it increased as well. So I don't want to, be painted in that way or come across in that sense. My main reason for opposing this is because I just want to go about doing it in the right way through due planning and due diligence for it. And so that sort of leads me to, I guess, to the report, where it was discussed at committee and in the information in the report itself, where there is a concern about the availability of getting seedlings, and it was noted by officers of their ability to do the job effectively with such close time constraints. So that is part of my initial reasoning as to why I'm wanting to at least bring those points to the attention of council, and partially why I am opposed to this motion. I'm not sure as to what we'll actually get for the cost that we are spending with this $91,000. I do note that it has, yes, come about from the Future Fund, and from my understanding, the money was originally going towards a bridge. So I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that it was already going towards greening, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm not sure exactly, as I said, not sure exactly what we'll get for our cost in terms of this money that's sort of that has quickly come to us. Not sure where these trees and the planting will be happening, and what existing plans are there that it's sort of replacing or adding to in terms of officer time and their ability to get these jobs done. I think that it's also important to note that 1 year is not a long time when it comes to the life of a tree, and it's important for us to get right by perhaps just postponing this decision, or at least waiting for more information and time till we can make the right choice as to where this money should go. It's also, of course, a bit of a concern in terms of our process, where I think it comes across where we're not exactly planning or organised as well when we are having to then publicly advertise that we're having this funds moved from the Future Fund, publicly listing it for a month saying this is what we're doing. Just sort of comes across as a bit disjointed, I think. So I would much rather wait where we have the working group, have the draft strategy of the tree canopy working group coming to council as to what we actually would like to see and do. So we're actually planning and knowing where this money can be as most effectively spent to actually bring about that change that we're after with more canopy and more greening in our areas. I note that the tree canopy working group doesn't have its terms of reference completed, so I think it's sort of jumping the gun a bit while we don't even have that committee as organised as it can be, and then spending this money in that sense. So I would much rather see the option 2 and 3 considered by council. As I said, I'm not against trees. I think it's just a better way of making sure that we have it planned and thought out and allow it to be really getting bang for buck rather than perhaps jumping a bit ahead and not allowing this money to be carefully considered as to how it can be as best spent. So that is my main reasons for opposing this current recommendation as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Do I have anyone to speak for the recommendation? Councillor Mosey, you've got your light on.
Yeah, and someone's home. Yes, I would like to speak for the recommendation. I think that this recommendation sends a really strong message to our residents and even indeed to our officers that how seriously this council takes, urban forest, canopy cover and, the heat island effect that we're all trying to combat. Yes, it's only an interim measure and it's a small measure, but it's a great first step. I think a necessary first step. And as I said, sends a really strong message, so very keen for us to support it. I think that the fact that it's from Future Projects Reserve actually is a positive. I don't think you can get anything more for the future than planting trees. Obviously it's going to be our kids and grandkids that are going to see those trees to maturity. Like I said, what more for the future can you be than that? I think it's also important, I know Councillor Keogh just mentioned about the canopy cover working group and that, we don't have our terms of reference, etc. yet, but I think it's important for us to start getting some quick wins out of that group. We're all super passionate and at the moment probably not necessarily seeing, anything on the ground, so to speak. So I think, getting this early win for us, it would be fantastic. So I would like to see my colleagues support it.
Thank you, Councillor Mosey. Anyone to speak against the motion? Councillor Peter?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am opposing the current motion on the table, and the current motion failed. I need to foreshadow my recommendation. That is the number 4 of the committee recommendation. That is the recommendation I need to foreshadow. Madam Chair, I have a support for the mover for increasing the canopy cover in the city. I don't think nobody have a different opinion. The question we have here to discuss is the city can do this project within the time frame because we are allocating $91,000 and the $91,000 can be utilized efficiently. That is the fundamental question. We can allocate a third party or subcontractor to do the job, but it will be efficient for the city. It is good for the ratepayers. That is a fundamental question we need to ask. Because as per the report, Madam Chair, we need at least 8 to 10 months for the planning and implementation of the new trees. So we are now in October. We don't have enough time to 8 or 10 months to do the planning and implementation of the new trees. And Madam Chair, from 2014, we have a project and we are already do the project, greening project in the city. And we allocate funding for that project. And last financial year, we allocated nearly $1 million to collect the tree data in the city. And we are expecting that data will be available next financial year or maybe after 1 year. So that data will tell us where is the shortage of canopy and how we can plan it and how we can improve our canopy cover and how we can reduce our heat eviction in the city. That is the proper way of doing this project for, not for 1 year, for 5 years or 10 years, how the city needs to go in the green space. Suddenly we allocate $100,000 for nothing. I strongly believe that is a waste of hardworking ratepayers. So we need to work hard, we need to plan properly, and we need to allocate fund for the future. And I am not against any funding to improve the green in the city. I am 100% support, but I don't think we have a plan now, and we are running out of time. And next financial year, we have a budget deliberation. We can discuss the matter, and we can allocate maybe instead of 90,000, we can allocate 1 million for allocating more trees in the city. That is the reason I am opposing the current motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. Is there anyone that would like to speak for the motion? Councillor Hancock.
I was hoping just to ask a question, please. If we were to spend this extra money on trees, it's probably more of a general question as well about our planting. Are we only planting trees that aren't susceptible to the shot hole borer now? That known to not be susceptible?
Through Chair, that is a consideration that officers are, I guess, bearing in mind when they do the ordering of the plant species. However, it's also fair to say that the number of species that are now being listed as susceptible to shot hole borer is literally changing on a weekly basis, and that list is increasing. So it may be that there are some trees that have been ordered that may have now come into that list. So it's an ever-changing beast, the shot hole borer.
Thank you, Councillor Hancock. And I'll go back to then, is there anyone to speak for the motion? Anyone to speak against the motion? If not, I might just make a few comments, a couple of comments from myself. Look, I think it's absolutely crucial that we don't miss the opportunity. So there's an opportunity at the moment, a window of time where we can order plants for the next planting season. So if we order them now, we can actually get them at a reasonable price. We're not competing with other local governments who have ordered already and have them growing. So we would have our own potential seedlings put in and grown for us. Now, where they're planted, I believe that the officers can make up their minds about the species, and I'm imagining that in accordance with our policies, we would be going for at least 50% natives. We have a very, very popular program throughout the year of native plants for residents, where we give away free plants for residents. And if our officers don't have enough time or the capacity to plant the trees themselves, then I feel positive that the community will be very much interested in taking on seedlings or trees and planting them themselves within the city's boundaries. So I think that there's an opportunity here to order the plants, get them growing for the year, and get them at a reasonable price, depending on whether we go for a mixture of tube stock or more mature, larger pots. So I think it's a great opportunity. We need to take these opportunities, given the seasons and summers are getting hotter. We need to plant at the right time of the year, and planning ahead, and this is planning ahead because we're ordering at a time where the plants have enough time to grow to be able to be put in for the next year's planting season. So I would be supporting this recommendation. Councillor Willinga, would you like to wrap up?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of points. We raised this item, the Canopy Cover Working Group, in early August, and then we got the report about the carry forwards in late August. So that's the reason why we didn't identify that money at that time. I'd like to agree with the Mayor that it is an opportunity to order now, and it is operational to a certain extent where the officers, where their current programs are, what they're planting. We didn't know what they were planting anyway, so asking them where the additional plants were going to go, I'm just happy enough to know that they can fit it in and put them somewhere, because ultimately, wherever they've identified, I don't think we need to wait for the end of the asset data report to know where we need to put in trees. It should be fairly obvious to the officers, and I'm happy to trust them to put them in. And so, yes, I would urge everyone to please support this initiative.
Thank you, Councillor Willinga. I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? And we'll just let the Minute Secretary take names. All those against? Thank you. The motion is 1. 9-4. Thank you, councillors. We will now go to... Sorry. Oh, sorry. It was 10-4. The motion was 1. We'll now go and I will ask the Deputy Chair if he's prepared to move the item that wasn't already dealt with.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Chair has moved. Is there anyone opposed? If no one is opposed, that's carried. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the minutes of the Community Services Committee meeting held on the 8th of October. Is the Chair prepared to receive those minutes?
Yes, yes, Mayor, I would like to confirm the minutes of the Community Services meeting held on the 8th of October, subject to any corrections, in which I have none.
Thank you. Councillor Silva has moved receipt of those minutes. Has anyone opposed? No. Thank you. That's carried. First item begins on page 19, 1.1, Homelessness Working Group, Terms of Reference. The recommendation coming on page 21. Next item, 2.1, Single-Use Ban at City Events, with the recommendation on page 23. Page 24, 2.2, Repair Cafe, with the recommendation on page 25. Page 26, 2.3, Containers for Change, with the recommendation on page 27. Is the Chair prepared to move all of those items?
So moved.
Thank you. Chair has moved. Anyone opposed? If no one's opposed, thank you. That's carried. We now move to the CEO's report of the 14th of October. Could I ask that someone move receipt of the CEO's report? Councillor Hetherington, thank you. Is there anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried. We have one item, which is 1.1, Councillors' Information Bulletin, issue number 16 of 2024, with a recommendation coming on page 23. Could I have someone move that recommendation, please? Councillor Peter, thank you. Is there anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Takes us back to the beginning of the agenda. Where we have motions of which previous notice has been given, which we don't have any. Urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision. We don't have any. Matters for referral to standing committees without discussion. Do we have any matters for referral tonight, councillors? Thank you. If not, we'll move on. Matters requiring confidential consideration. We haven't got any of those out either. So that brings us to closure, and I will close the meeting at 7:29. Thank you very much for your attendance.